welcome back, everyone. We still have quite a few folks on with us, and hopefully Jim is hiding somewhere off camera.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back, guys. Thank you again so much. I know we still have quite a few folks on, and probably some new guests that are getting ready to join, or maybe already have. I guess the first question, of course, is what advice would you give somebody that's just starting off brand new right now tonight?
Wow, that's a great question. I would tell people that are looking at this for the first time, or even somebody who's been around a while, get their information from reliable sources. In other words, number one, from people who are in life where you want to be, and more importantly, from people you can trust that have done what you're setting out to do. In other words, if you want to make $1 million, talk to someone who's made $1 million doing what you're attempting to do.
I would tell you, keep it really simple. Everybody looks at this business, and a lot of times you kind of muddy the waters a little bit and try to figure everything out before you actually get out there and start doing what it takes to be successful. This is a really, really simple business. The only thing you really need to do is get people to take a look at the video, which you just watched this evening. Let someone else answer the questions. You have a whole support team of people that you're surrounded with when you start a business with Ambit. Let them be the one that kind of answer the questions, deal with any objections or any fears that someone might be having. Through that process, you'll learn, and just put that on repeat. As often as you can get this presentation in front of people, you do it before work, at breakfast, you can show it over lunch, you can show it after work while you're driving home, you can do it over the phone. Just get this video out there in front of people, and your business is bound to grow. So keep it simple, plug into the system, and show this business as often as you can. That's what I would say, Sean.
Awesome. As I think back over my career, which, man, it's crazy to think I've been doing this for 10 years now. Time flies. I've got a few mistakes that I think I look back over the years and things that I would do different. I'm curious if there's anything that fits that bill for you. If there's anything that if you could, hit rewind, go back and say, you know what, I missed an opportunity there, or I would have started doing this differently, what would that be?
We don't make mistakes, Sean. I'm just joking. But everybody makes mistakes when they get started in this business. One of the mistakes is listening to the people who you show it to in the beginning that might be telling you this just won't work. A lot of people think that they're going to just run out and immediately who they show is going to join them in business, and then when that person doesn't see it the way you do, it kind of deflates your dream. Don't let that happen, because that can really take your thunder away, and you just have to stay laser focused on what you've got your hands on. The other mistake I think that I know we did, we talked too much. We tried to be the knowledge master here. We would get somebody who was willing to take a look, and then we would talk for 20 minutes before we play the video. They might like what they heard and like what they see, but if you talk too much, if you make this all about you, they're going to look at you and say, that's great, but I don't want to do that. They need to be able to, after you show the presentation, say, I have time to do what you just did. I would like to do what you just did, and I would not mind doing what you just did with my family, friends, and neighbors. They need to be able to answer those questions. So if you're talking too much, just stop talking and push play. I think that was one of our biggest mistakes.
I think along the same vein, it's our interaction with our closest friends. I think I would have, looking back, I don't think I would have tried as hard to convince people. I've been less attached to the outcome and the dialogue that comes from uninformed people. In other words, I would have realized I was looking for someone who was looking for what we had, rather than trying to convince people that this was going to be right for them. We tried real hard initially to convince people. This isn't about convincing. It's an incredible business, and when properly presented, it makes sense to people. And I think it probably makes a lot more sense when presented in almost a hands-off manner like that. Either you're interested or not. It makes sense to you. If it does, great, we'll work together. And if not, I'm okay with it. We're moving on. That's sort of an attitude. In other words, having a healthier position mentally going through.
A little bit of confidence.
We do beat ourselves up on the way through. I probably wouldn't have taken it so personally on the way through.
Forgot to unmute myself. Absolutely. Totally agree. I'm trying to keep the feedback down here, so I'm I'm muting and unmuting as we go here through the questions, but fantastic advice, of course. On another note, as I look back over the years of Ambit, I think um, probably, and I know I have, it's kind of like we're 10 years old now. We're a $1 billion company now. We're no longer, the Inc. 500 #1 company that was 8 years ago. I think that some people may get the impression that the best days are behind us. I'm just curious what you would say to that.
Guys, we are sitting on a literal gold mine here. I want you to think about this. In our first 10 years of business, Ambit invested $10 million into IT, into our whole infrastructure, because we basically are a data processing company. This last year alone, they invested $10 million. So ask yourself, if a company that's on the end of its journey here, would they invest as much this year than they have since our whole inception? The answer is no, not at all. We are getting ready for a massive explosion. We have a simulcast event, which is a corporate sponsored event this weekend. And this is a really exciting time to get tuned into Ambit, because you will hear from the two co-founders, and they're going to share right from their own hearts and souls just to where this company is going, the direction that we're headed. We are getting ready to launch more markets. We're getting ready to do an international expansion. This company is just at the precipice of getting ready to have some massive momentum. We're talking about going to $6 billion. We're a $1 billion company now. Over the next 10 years, we're going to be $6 billion and beyond. We are so far from reaching that saturation point, or that point where there's no more opportunity. Those of you joining today are coming in at the most opportune time.
I think we are sitting on the edge of something incredible, and I don't think people fully realize. We can look back through history as companies went international and the scope of what they accomplished in those jumps. I think we spent the first 10 years working out the wrinkles. And I think as a company, it's not perfect, but as a $1 billion company getting ready to go international, for the people who position themselves in front of it, I don't think even the people that are in it, as wealthy and successful as they've become, I don't think we realize how big this is going to be. It's going. There's 160, 170 million potential customers
right now,
and that's incredible. We only have 1 million. Ambit, as it becomes a household name, when deregulation is fully understood, when more than the small percentages of people are aware and choosing wisely, when people are working towards free energy and solar panels and who knows, batteries, if those become a household thing. We're on the forefront of that. We have the data systems in place to track not only the consultant forces that we create, but the customer base that's created from those efforts.
And we have that with the co-founders of this company, and they are talking about things like that. They're talking about solar. They're talking about batteries and Tesla and further expansions and becoming a household name. You guys are in a really good spot right now.
I, of course, could not agree with you more. In fact, just a quick story to illustrate the point. I myself just recruited, it could end up being possibly the biggest networker of my life, that I've been dripping on for all of the 10 years that I've been in Ambit. In fact, I've known him long before Ambit. And he's one of the most successful guys that I've known in the industry. And he's just now coming on board, and it's crazy what we're running into with the people that he's bringing in all over the country, in deregulated states and non-deregulated states. It's amazing how nobody's heard of us. Everybody he talks to, they're like, Ambit who? And yet we're $1 billion company. And that just speaks to just how big we are, but how much bigger the opportunity is compared to. We got a couple questions here from the crowd. If you don't mind, we got a question, which is a great one, because, we've been around for a few years. We've got quite a number of folks that have been with the company, and maybe some that have taken a break and are maybe thinking about getting started again, but kind of having a hard time maybe breaking that inertia. of diving back in and getting some momentum going back in the business, what would you say to somebody that is in that situation?
If you're ready to get started back up with Ambit, the first thing I would do is as soon as we get done, and if your websites are off, you're going to have to do this first thing in the morning, call up Ambit and get your websites back on, go right into your Power Zone and get signed up for simulcast. You'll have until tomorrow night to get that done, then the registration site goes down and you won't be able to sign back up again until Saturday morning. If you're serious about getting started, you're at the perfect spot because you can log in on Saturday, watch the live stream, or find out if there's a local watch party in your area, and you'll be able to hear right from the two co-founders, right from all of this year's award winners, just how excited we are about Ambit and the direction the company is going. And that, I know, will get you back on track and get you going. The next thing you want to do is reach upline. If you can't find your sponsor anymore, look for your sponsor, or your sponsor, or just somebody in Ambit. Find out what's going on in your area, whether it's plugging into this type of a weekly webinar seminar presentation, whether it's going to a weekly business presentation. The best way to stay plugged in is to get plugged in.
That's a phrase that pays. If you're not connected to some people in the business, if you're not going to a weekly meeting, I would say immerse yourself in the videos that are available online, the training that's online. If what you did before didn't work for you, find a bigger why. Find something that's meaningful. Find something that you can't live without. Something that it's that time of year. Think about your life and what's important, and then use Ambit as a tool to provide that. I would immerse myself in personal development. I think that's one of the big secrets of Ambit Energy. It's a personal development business with a compensation plan directly attached to it. Your skill with people, your ability to work with people I think that's how the money's generated. It is about gathering customers, but until you get that part right, until you learn to work with people, that's I think that's the biggest part of it. So if you're sitting on the sidelines wondering if this is real, you're really wondering if it's real for you, reach into the business, find people that you can connect with, and stay plugged in. The rest of it is mechanical. Build a list, make the phone calls, plug in the meetings. That's all very standard.
You had me muting and unmuting several times. I wasn't sure if you were done. I totally agree, and especially on that last point about committing to personal development. I've often said myself that out of all the qualities I look for in someone, a commitment to personal development is probably the most important, because if you have that, you can overcome anything. Literally. And it's a perfect piece of advice for somebody that's trying to get the momentum back, get back into personal development. That's the quickest way to get momentum back. So fantastic advice. One more question and then we're going to wrap. Sorry, did you have something?
Can I say something? Warren Buffett's arguably one of the most successful business people in the country, perhaps the world, $68 billion or something like that. And they asked him, how did you get so smart? And he held up a group of papers that he was, kind of going through. And he said, I read 500 pages of this a day. He spends 80% of his time reading. That's from Warren Buffett. He also says public speaking is one of the things that has helped him become very, very successful. Learn how to present ideas in a cohesive fashion. Thanks.
That's a pretty good place to develop both those skills. One last question. From Sergio, our guest that will be joining Ambit next month. I didn't realize until he told me now here on the chat board that he's not joining until next month because he doesn't turn 18 until next month. That's pretty exciting. So he's asking for any advice to someone his age, obviously getting started a little bit younger, maybe dealing with different demographic or what have you. So I have some kids that have joined at a younger age, so that could be a good person to ask. So what would you say there?
Sergio, you remind me of our son. When Ryan was 16, he saw this business, and from that point on, he kept saying, all I want for Christmas is Ambit. All I want for my birthday is Ambit. All I want for Easter is Ambit. And as soon as he turned 18, he started his Ambit business. Our Our daughters also started this business when they were 19 and 21. And you know what they did is the same thing that someone who's 50 does when they saw this business. They made a list of names. Now, granted, their list of names might not have been quite as long as someone who's had a little more experience, but you just want to grab a hold of your sponsor, take that list of names, and let whoever's bringing you into this business help you. You will show it to a lot of your friends, and some of them will get it and some of them won't, and that's okay. But the ones that do get it, they're probably going to want to show it to their parents. So let them, with your help of your sponsor, go with your friends to their friends' parents and start showing it to the parents. Start showing it to the people who are a little bit tired, a little bit worn out in this journey of life. Don't be afraid to reach out to your guidance counselors and people, professors and teachers at school and people you see at the bank and everybody. Don't think you just have to show just your age group. Reach up and reach out. That's what I would suggest.
She nailed it. When we started working with our kids, we went and showed with and for them, just like we do with a new consultant. As they became more skilled, they started showing it to people. And it was Haley's 4-H person. It was the music teacher. We showed it and practiced on their sphere of influence. They were typically older people. And young people, as a rule, are pretty optimistic, and they're pretty programmed to go get a job, to go to college, and it's a standardized format for them. That's not to say not to show it to them. I'd encourage you to show it to every single person. If nothing else, it's just for practice. But when you're showing it to an older person, I would present it in a way that you were asking for their advice. In other words, I wouldn't necessarily pass myself off as a skilled business person at 18, although I don't know who you are and what your background are. Perhaps you are a skilled business person. In that case, I would just put it in front of everybody in the same fashion that we're taught, because we're looking to duplicate it. If you have family members, I'd try to sponsor them into your business and work their spheres of influence as effectively as you can, and try to get it to grow away from you as quickly as you can, which is what we all do, because we don't want it to be about us. We want it to be about the videos and the tools that are available. So if you use that, I think it doesn't matter how old you are.
Perfect.
Fantastic advice, of course. Well, I mean, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted. Any final send-off words of advice, or, if you wanted to share that secret you've been holding on to the entire time, you can do that as well.
I think we touched on a lot of it. I appreciate what you and Damien do, and I certainly appreciate you putting this together. I would just tell everybody in Ambit that we're sitting on an incredible business idea. And in its simplest form, it's just deregulation. It's something to capitalize on. The fact that it has a networking component, don't let that be a turnoff to you. It's exactly what Verizon does with cell phones, except the money's available to us. They use the free component to gather customers. They allow the customers to gather customers. And in that, they hired employees. Ambit hired independent consultants to do that. And they make a lot of the back-end money that a company like Verizon or some of the other ones. But that business model into the future with data and technology, I think just anybody would be crazy to think that working by the hour for the rest of your life to collect some Social Security and a retirement that does not exist. There's other options, and Ambit Energy just happens to be the one that we chose.
I think Ambit Energy happens to be the best option there is out there. And the secret sauce, Sean, you want that? Keep it simple. I said that when we started this, and just don't overcomplicate this. You're going to do two things. You're going to gather a handful of customers, and you're going to teach others to do the same. I want you to think about that for a second, because a lot of people look at this and they think they're going to constantly be gathering customers. We picked up our customers in the first few months of our business. They've been with us now for 6 years. Your customers are going to stick because your customers are going to save some money. So that's what we do. We just try to keep it really, really simple. Plug into the system. Get started tonight if you're not started, or Sergio, as soon as you turn 18, get started in this business and then stay the course. Stick with it. Be here at least a year from now. That's what we tell everybody. If you're just getting started, commit to this for a year, and your life, I believe, will be forever changed.
Could not agree more. And of course, I was joking about the secret, but you answered that perfectly. The big thing is the little thing. The big secret is just keeping it simple. So could not agree more. Thank you guys again for being our guest this week, and appreciate you. And of course, just another reminder, we'll be back same time, same place. Well, not same place technically, it'll be a different YouTube page, but you can get all the details there at Ambit Pros. And we've got Glenda Farmer. I almost forgot. I'm losing track of all my guests here. Glenda Farmer next week, an incredible presenter, and I'm sure she will have some amazing words of wisdom and advice for us as well in the post presentation interview. So thanks so much, Jim and Kim. Be good. Enjoy the time with the family, and we will talk to you real soon. And can't wait to hear about what happens this Saturday.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Sean.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.